Hey there, my name's Joe Keyport, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. For this week's episode, I talked to local post-punk quartet Basketball Divorce Court. This band has been one of those acts that always comes up in conversation when talking about local music, and after 4 years, they're back with their debut full-length, Rebound. Not only is Rebound their first record, it's a true showcase of the group's writing ability as a band. During the interview, we dig into the growth they've had from forming Basketball Divorce Court out of necessity into a full, actualized punk act that you need to see live. It's Basketball Divorce Court, and they're right here on the Ear Coffee Podcast. Good evening. How's it going?
We're good.
It's going good.
Good to hear. Can we just have everybody introduce themselves and kind of what they do in the band?
Yeah. Okay, I'll go first. My name is Katie. I am the vocalist, screamer, whatever you'd like to call it, in the band.
Yeah, I'm Elena. I'm the guitar player.
I'm Derek. I'm the drummer.
Jack on the bass.
And so, first question I always ask bands is, how do you describe Basketball Divorce Court to people when they're like, usually it's like the family member or like your coworker, they're like, oh, you do music, that's cool, what's your band like? What's that like one sentence kind of like log line that you could kind of go to try and either explain it away so you can move on with your day, or you just kind of want to describe it to them?
Oh my. How would I describe it? That's so funny that you asked that, because I do kind of work in like a corporate setting, which is totally like, we have a song called Fuck Capitalism. So it's very interesting. Try to keep it very brief and just say, oh, we're just a punk band that performs sometimes, and leave it at that. So they don't ask like, oh, can we hear some of your music? And then they go to my Spotify and they're like, oh, Kill All Men. Okay. So keep it very brief. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. Like I always have to ask off like time for work, and everyone's always like, oh, what are you like asking time off for? And it's like, well, I got to go play a show with my band. And they're like, oh, you're in a band? What kind of band are you in? And it's just like, oh, I'm in a punk band. And they're like, oh, I'd love to hear your music. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't, please. Stop talking to me.
Yeah, what about you guys, Jack and Derek? What do you guys say?
I like how Elena described it last time. It was more like a non-description of it, because then you get to create your own descriptive words for it. But I don't know, I hear a lot of jazzy elements to it, which I really love, at least like rhythmically speaking. But that's all. I mean, that's all to it. I mean, I'm the bass, so I'm just like the rhythm section. So it's just not speaking about the screaming or the lyrical content or things like that.
I'm with Jack. It's like a choose your own adventure type, you know?
Yeah.
Choose your own adventure.
Come up with new phrases every time just to really throw people off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I've said the wrong band name just so I'm like, yeah. So I'm just like, please don't look me up. Please don't look it up. And then they love nothing more than going on YouTube. And I'm like, why would you do that? That's even worse. That's audio and video.
I love, there's a certain age of people who are like, oh, can I find your band on YouTube? And I was like, I mean, I guess, but I don't know why you would.
I know. My boyfriend's dad just asked me that. I was like, oh, yeah, it's on Spotify. And he's like, oh, I use YouTube. And I'm like, you know what? Dan, that's okay. But I definitely sent one that's just the album cover and not like a video of us performing. So I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. YouTube is like, you know, great for some things, but yeah.
Gotcha. So let's start off. Let's get some history about the band. Talk to me about kind of, when did Basketball Divorce Court form?
Okay, so Basketball Divorce Court kind of formed out of the shell of this previous band that me and our old bassist was in. Our old bassist was Adrian. He hasn't been playing with us for a couple years now. But we were in this previous band, in Iowa City, and that band broke up for a lot of. It's a whole story. I'm not going to get into it here, but basically, we were left being like, well, we still want to like do music, but we're not really sure like how to go about it. And we were offered this gig to play at like this lamplight session, which was put on by the University of Iowa's like student org that like brought concerts to the university. So like they would like bring people there for homecoming and whatever, but they were doing like this session which is usually like acoustic sets and like coffee houses and this kind of thing, but they were trying like this new thing where they were like, well, we want to get like a full band in like a different setting, so they were gonna have us in like this burger restaurant that had just opened in town.
Hell yeah.
So we were just like, yeah, sure, we'd love to play it, you know, agreeing to do this, having no band formed whatsoever. And like, so Katie and I and Adrian had all like known each other from like the sort of like, you know, close knit circle around that band that had broken up. And then sort of just like as a joke, I had like proposed to Katie that she should be the vocalist in our new band. And she just kind of like went along with it, even though like she'd never like really done any like musical thing before outside of like playing drums and like high school band or something. And then so we just started like practicing, and like we took like pretty much like then like all the songs we played for our old band and just moved them over to this band, and like came up with like completely different lyrics, a completely different vocal style where Katie would just like scream over like the instrumentals we already had. And then we played at that show at the burger joint, and people liked us, which is really surprising. So then we just kept getting more shows, and we just kept doing it. And then now it's just this whole thing that I can't escape from.
We're in this together.
Yeah, so true, bestie.
That rocks. And so Katie, you hadn't really done a lot of stuff with music, but did everybody else? Were you all playing in bands and pretty active in the local scene there in Iowa City, or?
Yeah, me and our old bassist Adrian, we'd been in like 2 previous bands together, so we'd been like writing and stuff together for like a long time. We've been playing like a lot of the songs that are like on our first EP, like since like 2016 in different bands. I didn't know Derek until we needed a drummer, and someone in the local scene hit us up to, or they mentioned Derek to us, and then we hit up Derek, and Derek was like, yeah, sure. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd been in bands before, but I never really like played any shows, like probably played like 1 to 2 shows before being in Basketball Divorce Court. But you know, just been playing guitar for a long time before that, but not really too in depth or anything.
Gotcha.
Played shows other than this. I kind of figured you had. But no, I've played in a lot of bands here before basketball. There's a band in Iowa City, Ghost Bummer. We played like every weekend for a little while, for like about a year or so. And then before I moved to Iowa City, I was in several bands that played or whatever, and like mostly friends and stuff.
What about Jack? Were you in anything?
What'd you say?
Were you in any band, or were you doing anything?
Yeah, like as a teenager, I was in a couple bands with Derek. And then now I'm also in a band with Derek, but I'm also in another project with Derek.
I'm kind of the drummer of a lot of my friend group, so a lot of times they're like, "Hey, you want to start something?" And it's kind of yay or nay for me.
I filled in for drums for one show for Derek because he got his finger bitten off by a dog. So that
what?
Yeah. So when that happened,
And he still has it. He still has
in the
it.
jar.
That rocks, kind of, I guess.
I think that's when we were like 14 or 15 or something.
Yeah, 15. Yep.
Gnarly.
So punk of you.
I was supposed to play for Drumline, do this band competition, and they had to tell Derek can't make it today. Had a thing with a dog. I don't know. They like showed up at the house later that day, just like, oh my god, are you okay? I'm like, I can't hardly think straight. This hurts. And I'm like,
they're like, hey Jack, you want to play? It's later tonight. You want to play it? And they're like, you gotta learn Hybrid Moments by the Misfits. You gotta learn. Which I already knew the other songs because I was like a fanboy that would sometimes fill in or like play rhythm guitar or bass. But yeah, that was the Muskrats. Played in another project, Salmonella Lions. Again, all when I was a teenager, so it's been a while.
And Katie, was it pretty easy for you then to like move into like a fronting a band, or was it like talk about that process? Because that's pretty intense. Because I mean, I play trombone and stand in the background, and that's easy. That's hard enough for me some days. So I can't imagine being the person,
Well, it's funny you say that because kind of like Elena said, like what happened is like, at the time, like when we had our old members, they were like talking or whatever, and I was just friends with them. Like I was just like hanging out with them. They're like, yeah, we really need a vocalist. And so like, I'm like 3 White Claws deep and I'm just like, I'll do it. I don't care. I'll do it. And they're just like, are you being serious? And I was like, yeah, my schedule is kind of free these days. So like, yeah, why not? And I went to the first practice and I didn't say a word. I was petrified. And Elena was like, Katie, like low key to be in the band, you got to like say something. And I'm just like, you're not wrong. And then the next practice, like Elena and our old bassist came back with lyrics and they're just like, try these out. And so I did, and the rest is kind of history. I don't know, like I kind of had stage fright, but then when I get on stage, it's just like everything feels so like just smaller, like around me, and it doesn't feel like I'm playing to, it could be 5 people, it could be like 150 people, and I'd still play the same set because it's just like low key. Part of it is the lights. Like if I'm playing at a bar, I can't see anything in front of me.
Yeah.
So it's I almost like that better, even though it gets so hot on stage. But like at a DIY show, I'm 4'11", so I can't really see anyone past the front row. Anyways, I can't see over their heads. So it's kind of nice, but I mean, it does come with a lot of responsibilities too. I mean, like, people always like, like kind of want to like talk to you afterwards and ask you like the same questions. And it's like, like you got to kind of go like, I feel like I almost have a script for people now, like a polite script, but it's like, and I hate to say that because it's not that I don't genuinely appreciate it, but at the same time, it's like when like 9 people are coming up to you while I'm just trying to talk to my mom at the gig.
Yeah.
Shout out Karen Kelly.
Shout out Karen Kelly. Yes, I do force my mom to come to my gigs. Like, it's just kind of like, oh my gosh, like, thank you, appreciate it, come to the next one, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, overall, I don't like to think about, like, it being just me as, like, the front woman. Of course, there is responsibility that comes with that. But, like, I think all of us are very equal in the band. And, like, I really hope people treat it as such because, yeah, again, I know I'm the front person, but it really is a collective.
Gotcha. And so that 2019 EP, What Is a Man, was born out of a lot of the songs that existed from the band that Basketball Divorce Court grew out of. Who wrote a lot of those lyrics then? Was it a mix of everybody, or kind of how did that process go?
Well, so for our first show, we didn't have any lyrics prepared. So like the day before, me and our old bassist kind of just sat in like his bedroom and we're like, okay, we're just gonna come up with some random shit off the top of our head and put this on top of these songs. So it's like for about 3 of them, I think, were given lyrics through that method. That would have been like Kill All Men, Cowboy Hat, and Hidden Feelings, which I think really shows because The lyrics on those ones are a little brain dead because it's just like, how many more must die for the violence? Big iron around my waist, because I've been playing lots of Fallout New Vegas, so that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But then like after that, we kind of just gave like Katie like free reign for writing all the lyrics.
Well, mine, because I think so. I wrote Classic. That was like probably the one that like I really put a good amount of energy in, but I know Elena and our old bassist did help me with that as well.
Yeah, we like, especially like with the chorus, but you did pretty much like all the verses and stuff by yourself.
Yeah. It was just nice because you guys helped me like find what fit where, what syllables to use. Because I've never really been a songwriter either. So it was like, I kind of had to start from scratch. I didn't know what I was doing at all. And then I remember, oh my gosh, probably the most chaotic day of BBDC when we were playing a downstairs show at Gabe. So it was a free show. And we got our new drummer, Derek. And I had never met Derek. And Derek had practiced with Elena and our old bassist. And I met Derek when we were going on stage together. So, and at that same show, I wrote the words to Segoy at the bar because I didn't have any words for Segoy. And I was like, I'm going to perform this in about 20 minutes. I got to figure something out. And there was this guy at the bar that was, I think, kind of trying to like schmooze me a little bit. And I was like, sir, I'm really stressed out right now. I need you to leave. I'm writing a hit song. Please go. So it was like, I honestly have like Hold the EP in a special place in my heart because it's literally like so chaotic and so brilliant at the same time. And that'll always be our, like our baby, and so I got a lot of mad respect for it. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm not trying to sing about being a cowboy anymore.
It's so funny to look back on and just be like, oh, this is why it's like that.
It's only up from here.
Yeah. Well, so then let's dig into the record itself. So this would be then your first writing process then as a band, right? How was that? And kind of talk to me about what was going into it as you were working on this project.
Well, we sort of, I guess what our writing process sort of came out to be was that, so like most of these songs got written after Adrian and I moved up to Minnesota away from Iowa City. And it like kind of gave us like this break time because when we were in Iowa City, summer of 2019, we were pretty much like playing shows like every week just because people would keep offering them to us. And then we didn't have any reason to say no or didn't realize that maybe we shouldn't be playing a show every week, but for whatever. So it was like all gas, no breaks at that point. And then finally, once we were separated for a little bit, it was like, okay, well now that we got all this free time, suddenly Adrian and I would start like writing like these instrumentals, and then we'd like, we would come back to Iowa for like some more gigs. And when we were there, like at practice, we'd like show them to everybody. And then gradually they started, working their way into the set. Well, we had like maybe about like 4 of the songs that are on the EP, like pretty much finished, at least instrumentally wise, before the pandemic. And then once the pandemic hit, there was even more time to start like writing music and like that kind of stuff. So then like everything else also sort of came out and like just came out of having like just extra time to like sit around and like write music and like that kind of thing. And it was always just like a process of like Adrian and I would like come up with an instrumental, we would show it to each other. Adrian and I both kind of like had this sort of combative somewhat like writing process, and like with the way we were like trying to like write like parts to like impress each other sort of. And then like if we were suitably impressed, then they would get sent to Derek and Katie, and then they would do their thing over on top of it, and then eventually we would have a song.
Yeah, I just locked myself in my room for like 3 months and told everyone to leave me alone and wrote the album. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, but that's how like it kind of works. Like kind of how I do my writing process is I write down, I basically use the structure of like A, B, A, B, C, A for songs, like just the basic structure. And so I'll write a song like that, and then I'll get the instrumental, and then I'll tweak it to obviously what Elena does and, you know, what Adrian did. But yeah, so then I'll tweak it and I'll kind of put, I'll rearrange some, like if there's 6 measures instead of 4, you know, kind of slap some lyrics in. It helps me also like push myself to be like, I like this thought and I don't want to move these lyrics around. How can I make this more dynamic? And also bouncing ideas off my band members, like, is a must. So, you know, it's kind of a process, but I don't like to give it such a strict structure on how to do it. I like to just do it naturally and how it feels. And, you know, if I need help, I'll ask for it. But yeah. And then, Derek, what do you kind of do? Like,
I just kind of come in and I don't know if I'll kind of hash out a number of drum parts. I tend to come up with a couple of things I like, and a lot of times it's just kind of sussing out what I like for the options. And you know, I even on songs I finish, sometimes I'm even like, I don't really want to play that there. I think we're gonna change that up, you know. So yeah, it just depends. Not necessarily an ongoing process, but at least until I don't know, recorded or up to being able to play, I'll just kind of mess around with whatever I got. I'm always looking for other people's like opinions on what it sounds like, or if it fits the vibe, because it's like being a drummer. I just feel like it's you play to the song, you know, and you have to be you're the bass line of the whole thing. Not actually, that's Jack, you know, but you're the founder.
Well, you're the metronome,
exactly,
of the whole band.
It's got to be the right feel, the right vibe, and you know, otherwise, just try to bring the energy too, and make sure we're all well, and like sometimes even push the envelope a little bit, make sure that we're going fast enough, because I know Katie Kelly go fast, so you know,
gotta go fast.
It goes so slow.
Breathe.
I have to take my inhaler before sets. It's so fast.
Estrogen really fucks with your muscles, and you can't play fast punk music like you used to.
Jack, were you going to say something?
Well, I've only played 4 shows so far. It was a little bit difficult at first. I think I just had the songs that were on Spotify and then would listen to them and just kind of use my ear to figure out what was going on and then show up to the show and play them. So that's kind of been my process so far. But me and Derek.
Well, Jack, like, you add your own flair into it too. You know what I mean? Like, even though you weren't on the EP or the album, like, you adjusted so well. And also, like, I just like that you add your own personality into the bass line, which I can tell. And I just really appreciate that, because it's almost like you're writing your own kind of riff while staying with the song. And so you have just like this individual autonomy of what you're doing. And I really appreciate you doing that. Just showing my appreciation for you.
Yeah. No, thank you. I was also going to say, Elena and Adrian kind of outdoing themselves when they were writing the songs. Half the time, I just have to overcompensate and come up with something.
Adrian's bass line. Adrian would just come up to me and be like, I made the bass line as complicated as possible so I wouldn't be bored while playing the song. Like, why?
Like, I might have good ears to be able to pick up on it, but then I'll hear it and be like, there's just no way I can do those acrobatics.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. Okay, so then talk to me about kind of the themes and a lot of the topics, because it feels almost like, and you could tell me if I'm wrong here, it at times feels like the album is almost a spiritual successor to What Is a Man, because it handles a lot of the same things, like the power dynamics even within capitalism and kind of self-worth stuff and stuff like that, but it almost has a different level of awareness or kind of a different spin on kind of these takes. So talk about what was going on in your brains as you were kind of coming up with a lot of the topics and themes you find on these 10 songs?
Well, I guess that's kind of a little bit of a me question, but yeah, no, I was going through a time in my life when I was writing it, which seems kind of wild because it was like over a year ago that I wrote these songs, but I was just at a time in my life where I was trying to find a sense of myself again and reflect on, you know, what's happened to me and everything. But I didn't just want to make the album about my experiences. Like, I got input from my band members and I was just like, what should I write about? And at one point I texted Elena and I was like, what do I write about? I want to stop writing about my shitty ex-boyfriends. It's too easy. It's too easy. And Elena was like, why don't you just write a song about you being a bad bitch? And that's how we don't use that word on Barbie.com came to life. But, you know, there is a lot of like, you know, I have worked in a corporate setting. I've been around many capitalist people, and man, I just wanted to write a song just for them, honestly. I was like, you know what? Yeah. And that kind of goes along with like That's Business and everything. So That's Business and Fuck Capitalism are kind of like sister songs to me in a way. But, you know, there is one song on there. So that like I think is actually my favorite, although I don't know if we'll ever play it live because it is it's astrology app. And that one was, what is that, written on an offbeat basically.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, yeah, so that song is about like, since I have bipolar too, and I was like, you know, I kind of want to share like what that experience is like for me. You know, because I just want to spread awareness, and you know, I just want people to not think they're like alone in it, because I felt alone for a long time. So what's really cool in that song, if you go and listen through it again, is like it starts off really fast, which is more of like my manic episodes, and then it just like I have this like super long loud scream, and then it just goes almost just like, you know, not silent, but it's very slow, very somber. And that's kind of like if I have some depressive episodes and everything. So that song really means a lot to me. And again, I was struggling with that at that time. And writing about it just made me feel like I could share my story. And so, you know, on the EP, we just wrote a lot of kind of fun songs and everything, you know, like not taking ourselves too seriously. But then like with this album, I wanted to like pack a punch with it. I wanted to be like, no, we're more dynamic than that. We got this. We're growing as a band. And you can hear that through every single instrument that is on the album. It's just everyone's grown exponentially. And I think that shares a story in and of itself of how we've grown as a band collectively and made it cohesive.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I agree. It's listening because today at work I was listening to them back to back a couple of times, and it's just such a fun. Maybe not fun is the right word, but it's such a level up and a difference in such a way that I really appreciate. So it's such a good record.
Though.
Yeah,
it's so fun. Like I have a special place in my heart for the EP and performing the old songs, but man, I love performing the new songs. They're just like a little bit more dynamic, and it feels almost liberating performing them. Whereas like if I'm just singing about being a cowboy with a big iron around my waist, I can't really relate to that.
Yeah.
So it's like I like singing about songs that it's like I'm putting all of this passion into, but I still have a lot of love for the old stuff that I don't want people to forget about. That like that's where we started, that's where our roots are. So like I'd say it's pretty fun.
Yeah. There's a fair bit of time between the release of 2019's "What Is a Man" and this record. You did put out those 3 singles last year. Kind kind of, so were you pretty much, I mean, obviously the pandemic put a whole stop. We can cut out like at least a whole year in that whole process. Was there a reason you waited so long? Because it sounded like you had some of these songs pretty early on from between, the EP and what will be the new record.
Yeah. So honestly, it's like kind of just we've been a little lazy because we recorded the album in August of 2021.
Okay.
Shout out Abe Anderson for recording it with us.
Hell yeah.
It was done in February of 2022. And we were like, okay, we're going to like release these 3 singles and then just do like a drop. But we never ended up we never had a title. We never had any album art. So we were just going to be like, we got to get those things before we can release it. And then just time just kept moving on until like last year, like before Katie got like her throat surgery, we were just like, okay, we're going to set a hard deadline. Like, this is when it's going to come out. We're going to have everything done. And then we're not just going to be sitting on this for like another year.
I literally was like, whatever day Gabe's, which is like one of the only one of the only venues in Iowa City to kind of play at. I was like, whatever day that Gabe's has open for us on a Saturday, we are going to release the album the day before. So shout out Gabe's, because they're the ones that kind of forced us to try to release this album the day before our album release show. We booked the album release show before deciding when to release the album.
Wow.
We are the most chaotic band I think you could find.
It really is kind of like, going back through all these like stories and stuff. It's like just very reflective of like the way we've always kind of just done shit, where it's just like very cobbled together in last minute.
And somehow we make it work. I don't know.
I love it. Love that part of it. Chaos neutral, baby.
and so then has it been within rolling out the record, having those 3 songs out already, is that kind of, affected any of that stuff, since you're just kind of like, we have these 3 songs, are you gonna release more singles, or is it just gonna be like, once it gets to the 17th, is that, we're just gonna get the whole record?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't want to, I think I can speak for everybody else, where it's like, I feel like if we released any more, that's like a big significant chunk of the record that's already out. So it's like, yeah. So, and it's like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe there's some precedence of like having singles out and then waiting to release. I don't know. I don't want to release anymore, to be honest.
I think we released our first single in April last year.
Yeah.
And then we kept releasing, and then I kind of forgot. Not gonna lie, I forgot almost that we like needed to release the album. And then I had surgery on my neck, and then we couldn't play shows for a while, and it was kind of hard getting all together too. And I didn't want to book an album release show because I got my surgery in December, and then I was kind of busy. I think everyone was kind of busy for the fall. So I had to wait a couple months, and I was like, okay, after I heal from my surgery, we're booking this. And so finally got the ball rolling a little bit. And I've been asked many times, like, oh, are you like going to release another single? And I was like, well, that'd be half the album. So probably not. But so, no, it took a while, but honestly, like, it was kind of nice seeing how excited everyone was. Not that I wanted to torture them by making them wait or anything, but it was kind of nice to see like, oh, these are some like actual like supporters and fans. This is crazy. Like, it feels kind of surreal when you have someone like ask like, I want to hear more of your music, and it's just like, why? No, I'm just kidding. But it's like, it's just kind of like, like I do want to give like our supporters and everything the new album, and I want it to be like really spot on for them. I want them to feel stuff and everything. So I feel a little bad for releasing it late, but like better late than never. You know what I mean? Like 11 months later. So like,
I don't feel bad. It's kind of funny.
Months, I don't know. Yeah, I know. It has its charm.
It's pretty funny.
I respect it. There's something about like sitting on a project and being like, I have this, but no one else can hear it. You can just come to a show, you know?
I've been leaking it. We've been leaking it to everybody who pretty much asks though. Like I had made like a new friend like early last year who was like super into BBDC, which is weird. But they were like, hey, can I just have the album? And I was like, sure. And then it was like Air birthday, so I made him a like cassette, like a homemade cassette tape that has the album and the EP on it. So like Abe had it for 14 months now at this point, and no one else has had it.
I think I leaked it to like, I swear to God, like 8 people within 5 minutes of getting it. Within 5 minutes of getting the masters back, it was like, yep, I'm leaking it. So pretty sure like, you know, half of Iowa City's already heard it.
I'm in this Discord group, and like there's just like a Google Drive document in the Discord group that just has the masters in it. If you want to go and listen to it, they're just there.
Get the official Basketball Divorce Court bootlegs going around.
Yeah.
Literally.
Shit rocks. I do want to highlight a song, which is the album's closer. Looking at the track list that Katie sent me, was either Iowa City or IC, which is like this. It's almost like a love letter to Iowa City, or like maybe not a love letter, but you know, a farewell. That's what I meant to say. So talk to me about that song, because it's I love it. I love a good album closer, and that one's a fantastic one.
Well, first of all, thank you. And second of all, so I have been trying to leave this godforsaken town for 26 years of my precious life. And everyone else left, and I'm still here. And it's actually kind of a sequel to our song Classic. And I'd love for people to pick up on that. But like in the song, I'm talking about like my mom, and I talk about my mom in Classic. And you know, in Classic, I'm just kind of like, I'm depressed. I'm really sad. I just want my mom. And in the Iowa City song, it's like, Mom, you really taught me well. I don't want you to cry, but like, I gotta leave. And like, you know, and it kind of talks about her teaching me that it like, I'm going to be okay. It's okay. And it is really just like leaving. It's leaving, it's branching out, it's getting out, it's starting a new adventure, but also like still appreciating my roots and the people who got me there, and especially my mom. So it's kind of just like, I very much envy all of my bandmates who got out. Jack, Derek. Well, Jack, you never came here. Lucky you. But, and Elena. But yeah, you know, I do hold Iowa City as a special place in my heart. But I wanted to write a song about like, you know what, like it's time. It's time, and I'm starting to like make moves to do that. So just wanting to get all my ducks in a row. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm glad you think that, because, you know, that is one of, like, I wouldn't consider it a slower song, but I wouldn't consider it, like, raw XD level. So I think it's a good, like, I think it's a great album closer, so I'm really glad you think that, too.
You mentioned that you recorded this record with Abe, which shout out Abe Anderson. We've already done it once, but Abe. He deserves it again. Talk to me.
Cool.
Yeah. Talk to me about that process. I'm assuming you all went out to the garage and got to work out there. And
oh yeah, we definitely did. It was really funny. When we, you know, we originally were going to record an EP with him, in May of 2020. Yeah, that obviously didn't happen. So then, you know, we kind of just, you know, we had more material. So we were like, well, let's just do an album and we'll record it with Abe, since we were already talking about recording with him. So we hit him up to record, and he was like, oh yeah, cool. So it'll just like sound like your old stuff. Well, we can bang that out in like a weekend. So we did. I think like everybody came up for one weekend. We went there. It was like 2 days, Saturday and Sunday in August. We went there, did like all the instrumentals, did like pretty much all the vocals. And then we just did another session with him in December where we did like some vocal touch-ups. And like, so it was a super fast process, where pretty much we all had like everything done, like going into it. And Yeah, it was like super smooth, super easy. Abe has a lot of really cool equipment that was really fun to record with. It's like a lot better than the conditions we were recording the EP under, which was in my apartment's bedroom with like one microphone. And like, yeah, it was so nice. He was so good. He had so many like good ideas for stuff, and it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, he was definitely the best guy I've recorded with. So, very
yeah, Derek, how was recording drums? You had to go first.
Yeah, it was great.
Obviously.
Drum set, for one thing. Had a couple cymbals for me to pick from. I used one of my own, but for the most part, used. But yeah, I don't know, man. Very, very, very fluid. Very fluid. Nothing. Just flowed and free take for everything. We got it in those, so worked out.
I learned how to make a TikTok. I had to YouTube how to make a TikTok though. So while I was waiting for my turn for 6 hours, I had to YouTube it, and I made a TikTok, and I don't know. It was something. It was something. I pinned it to our profile. We got some of my favorite, like haters out there in the TikTok comments. They just don't like our one song. It's fine. People get offended. But no, for real. It was like one thing that was hilarious during recording is, okay, in the song, oops, we don't use that on Barbie.com or use that word. And I don't think I'll ever get that title right. I don't think I ever will. But it was so funny because I feel like everyone like sat outside while everyone else was recording. And then when I was recording, everyone came in.
Yeah,
and,
it was
like,
just to
hung
bully
out.
you.
And during that, and like I literally was like, I'm so scared. I don't really want to scream. And then I was just like, okay, you gotta stop, being a little bitch and everything. And so I did it, but like in the song, like, oops, we don't use that word on Barbie.com. In the beginning, like the lyrics are a little like low-key, the lyrics are a little cringy on it.
They're a little silly. They're a little funny.
They're a little silly, a little funny. I mean, it's about me being a bad bitch. I can't take that too seriously. And so there's like the beginning is like just a little like I listened to it and I'm like, that's such a good song, but I'm kind of being cringe right now. And when I was recording that, everyone kept laughing, and I was like, you gotta stop, because I'm gonna keep laughing because this is so corny. But I'm like, it's gonna sound good, but like everyone just kept laughing, and I'm like, listen, I know I am writing like comedic gold right now, but like just give me like 5 minutes and then we can all laugh about it later. So it was just like I got more nervous recording in front of like 4 people than I did at our show at the Turf Club that had like 150 people at it. So it's like interesting to put that in perspective when like recording, because like all of my bandmates are like my best friends, and it's like I should feel the most comfortable with them, and yet I was so nervous, and I was like, this is just so wild. But it was like our first time, like, like Elena said, we recorded in an apartment for the EP and in Derek's basement. And we totally DIY'd it. But like recording with Abe, it was like, oh, this is kind of like,
this is fun now.
Yeah,
not
like,
awful.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, someone else is doing stuff for us. This is kind of nice. And so I was like, okay, Katie, you gotta take this more seriously, because like I just like to goof around and stuff. But I was like, no, gotta like be for real about it. So it was a very fun and very different experience than recording the EP.
Gotcha. So speaking of recording or talking about recording, do you guys have a favorite moment that you look back on through the process of creating the record that you always kind of look back on? Is there something that really sticks out to you?
I don't know. I really liked playing Abe's Rickenbacker.
Who doesn't?
Oh, wow.
It was so nice. It's such a nice guitar.
Yeah.
That's like a dream.
I had to bring the mic down like a foot because I'm
Yeah.
4'11". So yeah, I mean, not that that's like a big thing, but I was just like, oh my God. It reminded me of how like tiny I am, and yet I'm just like this screamer and everything. And it's like, you'd never expect that, which I kind of like that element of surprise. But it's like, I wanted people to like, I want to sound like I'm 5'3" on the album, not 4'11". So yeah.
And on Oops, Abe was like, let's run the vocals through like the early aughts like new metal filter where it sounds like it's coming from a drive-through box. It was like, so we like,
Well,
it was so
and
funny.
then, oh my God, one of my favorite moments of like recording is when like, there's like a part in Astrology app, and I don't know if you remember it, but I'm saying like I'm going fucking insane, and I scream it really, really like long, and then it breaks off into the slow part, and Abe made it so my voice sounded demonic.
He like down pitched it. It sounds like it was like on Disturbed or something.
I was literally just like, this sounds like it's out of like Haunting in Connecticut. Like I was like, I sound like an absolute demon, and I low-key kind of liked it, but I was like, no, Katie, don't get that silly with it. But yeah, Derek, how was like, do you have any memorable moments from recording?
Just showing up pretty much. Like it was a nice setup. It was a really nice setup. The atmosphere, the yard was and shit. So
the yard was so
like
nice.
that.
There was a playground. There was like a little place there.
Yeah.
The place that it was just kind of a cool, like the morning of showing up was just like, I don't know, really pretty, and I was kind of like, damn, this is this where we're recording. Yeah, it's nice. You know.
My favorite part was like, oh my God, walking into Abe's family home. Like if we had to use the bathroom or something, and seeing all the family photos of Abe, and they were just really wholesome. And I was like, I'm recording this angry punk album, and then I walk into this very like cute little like home with a bunch of like family photos, and like Abe's mom is so nice and everything. Was like, do you need anything? Do you need any water? And she was going to like a little festival downtown and stuff, and was just like an absolute sweetheart. And so yeah, it was just like, I don't know. It was honestly like better than I could have expected for recording. Plus doing it with my best friend. So, you know, what's better than that?
Of course. And so I only have a few questions left here. So, do you have any kind of that wraps up all of the questions I have about the album, and just kind of a few final kind of wrap up questions here, which are, do you have any, favorites of yours, like whether they're bands, both local and, national, that you want to kind of shout out or you've been listening to, or?
Okay, I'll go first. We should all say so. But, so a lot of my inspiration comes from Rage Against the Machine. Like, I like Rage Against the Machine. I like Idols. I like Pink Shift. I really have a special place in my heart for people who are just vocalists and don't play an instrument. Because I always get that. I'm just like, they're like, oh, what do you play? And I was like, oh, I'm the vocalist. And they're like, okay, and what instrument? And I'm just like,
voice.
And I'm just like, vocal cords. And so it's like, I do really have a special place in my heart for, like people like who are just vocalists. And cause like, you kind of have to bring the energy. Like you can't just stand there and stuff, which I like, sometimes I catch myself doing that, and I'm low key just like, I'm too out of breath for this right now. I need to exercise. But also some like local bands that I have like a lot of love for. I really love Bugsy. I think Bugsy is a great band. Every single time I've seen them, they just blow me away. And I know we played with them, in June. I do have a lot of love for the band Grandma. I'll give them a shout out. I know. But no, Yeah, I've just been and like we actually played with this band called Barnacle at our last show, and honestly, like they blew me away. I didn't know what to expect, and I was like, this is awesome. This is really great. So shout out Barnacle. I think they're a great local band.
Oh, sick. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah.
You definitely should. They're a really good band live and everything. They're just they're amazing.
Yeah, I liked them a lot too when we played with them. I thought they were pretty tight. I don't know how old they were. They looked like they were kind of past some kids, so you know, get on
I
them
think
for
they were
getting out there.
younger because it was an all ages show, and I think they were a little bit younger. So yeah, and we played with Civil Decline. I think they're kind of a younger band, and I appreciate that because we started out like, you know, I was 22 when we first started this, so like I have a lot of appreciation for bands that start younger.
Oh, totally. Yeah. No, Civil Decline's sick. We played with them at House of Pain, which is the house venue that Kyle, formerly of Breathe and Repeat, I don't know if they're still around, runs. But
Yeah. Well, Derek, do you have any bands that like influence you on the drums?
I like as far as like, you know, bands that you know, probably most people know. Like I like you know, the Mars Volta. I took a lot of inspiration from John Theodore, the drummer. I kind of rip off not a lot of shit, but you know, I'm just like, hey, that's tight. I'm gonna do that. You know, that's what good Mark. I feel like a good musician. Stuff for most people, but you know, whatever. You know, it's impossible to do everything all original all the time. You know, but I love like James Brown, and you know that just keep laying down the beat, make sure that everything's like tight and ready to go. You know, as far as well, obviously I like Rage a lot, especially like those bigger beats, like especially like the newer album, hitting towards those like, breakdown bits. I'd say that's kind of in that direction. Definitely a big influence. I love hip hop, so that's, you know, Rage is right there. I was like local bands. I know, like there's so many. I try to keep track of all of them. I did like Barnacle quite a bit. Civil Decline was. There's a band that I've been meaning to play with. Animals on LSD. They're really good. One of their 16 or 17 or something, so they can't like play bars and shit. But you know,
shout out to Animals on LSD.
Are they a Des Moines band?
Yeah, it's like sludge, like a sludge metal band from Des Moines. That's shout out to Haploid, like the Des Moines music scene in general.
I was just about to say that.
Yep. Haploid, Crooked Taurus, Polly Mall Cops, just
Holly Mall Cops. I was just
gonna plug a bunch of Des Moines.
Yeah.
But as far as you guys were saying with Barnacle and just seeing like younger kids that are making music now, it's the same stuff me and Derek did growing up. It's just like the greatest to see it, and they killed it. They were like just took the audience with them. It was insane. It was just such a good set. And every time I play in Minneapolis, it's getting to see so many like Civil Decline and Barnacle and Grandma, and it is Bugsy blew me away every time I've seen him twice now, and just makes me feel it just kills me every single time. He's just so like emotional and sad, and just great performance, and tons of great bands on both sides for sure.
Well, cool.
Well, and of course, duh.
You'll have to bleep that because we don't allow it to be mentioned on the podcast. It's the ongoing bit. Well, cool. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah. Wait, Elena, did you share yours?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know. Shout out Iowa City bands. Shout out Early Girl. Shout out Rational Anthem. Shout out Penny Peach. Most of the bands we played with in 2019 aren't around anymore, are they?
Careful Gaze.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
our
they'll be-
besties.
Yeah, they're playing your album release
Besties.
show, right?
They
Yeah.
are, yes, and we have some plans with them in the future too. So that's exciting.
Shout
Don't
out
know.
In the Attic. I think they're still around.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Lots
out
of new
Bouquet.
bands. Bouquet, yeah, they're killing it lately.
And finally here, where can people, if they want to learn more about Basketball Divorce Court, see where you're playing shows, kind of connect with y'all online, where can they do that?
Instagram.
Instagram is our main one.
Don't go on Twitter. The Twitter is locked because I won't delete a tweet that Elon says needs to be deleted.
The Facebook's all right. Derek runs that
Yeah.
one.
The Facebook's fine. Twitter is
Derek
dead.
runs the
That's why,
Facebook.
that's why there's nothing.
That's why there's nothing on there. But yeah, no, okay. On Real Talk, I do run the Facebook, and so like if like anyone ever needs to DM us, I can look at the Facebook one. But Instagram, it's at bballdivorce. And so that's where we're most active on. That's where we share everything. We post a lot on our story. We try to make as many posts as possible. We just announced today that we're playing 8035 in Des Moines, the festival. So that's super exciting. So if people want to keep up with us, that's definitely where it's at. And we're on all streaming services, even Apple Music. I know. So yeah, no, but Instagram's definitely our number one.
Well, wonderful. I appreciate you guys taking some time to chat with me here today. Congrats on the new record. It's fantastic, and I can't wait for everybody to hear it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
The Ear Coffee Podcast is a companion to the blog of the same name. If you like this episode, please leave us a rate and review so we can stand out among the other music podcasts. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Ear Coffee. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.